last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake?
I don't want to tell you jack How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good day. Thank you, Congressman.
Like literally she went from like $40 to having a $30 million net worth to now saying that it's back down to like several thousand, as if somebody is that stupid to make a mistake on your taxes.
I mean, there's no accounting error that can account for a discrepancy that large. Whenever there's smoke, there's fire. And this is somebody who, there are a lot of legitimate questions that we need to be diving into about her.
I want you to go to patriotmobile.com/Tatum and make the switch today. Now, here's why. Patriot Mobile is not just another cell phone company. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And in times where your money is either supporting the values that you believe in or working against you, this matters. And I know some of y'all are thinking, man, I don't want to deal with switching. Don't worry about that. They use the same towers as the major carriers, which means that you're getting the same, if not better coverage. So you're covered no matter where you are. I travel all the time. I'm in different cities, different states, and the service is still solid. But here's the part that really stood out to me. A portion of your bill goes towards causes that actually matter to you. We're talking about supporting the First and Second Amendment, protecting life, and standing with our veterans and first responders. They're not just talking about values. They're putting their money behind it. Switching is easy. You can keep your number, keep your phone, or you can upgrade if you want. They've got plans for every budget, and you can do it all from your home in just a few minutes. So here's what I need you to do. Go to patriotmobile.com/Tatum or call 972-PATRIOT. Use code Tatum and get a free month of service. Join Patriot Mobile and make every call count for something. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the interview that you all have been waiting for. I told you guys I'm going to interview this guy, and he's absolutely amazing. Rock star, just whooping the socks off of people in Congress almost every time I see a video of him. And it's interesting that we share the same first name, which is why I think he's so cool. But you guys helped me introduce Congressman Brandon Gill. He's a congressman in Texas, 26th District, Congressional District. Congressman Gill, dude, you've been just killing it. Every time I see you talk, you stand up for the American people. You obviously standing up for Texas. I'm born and raised in Texas. But I want to talk to you about this immigration nonsense. Me and the wife was talking about this the other day. We just do not understand who is stupid enough to allow anchor babies, to allow all this crazy immigration in our country unfettered. But I want to talk about the TPS immigration. What's your thoughts on that, the TPS immigration as it relates to the Haitian nationals?
Yeah, I mean, so we voted last week to extend temporary protective status for Haitians in the United States. And to give you a bit of background, this is a program that was originally begun in 2010. It was started after a major earthquake in Haiti to allow some of them temporary status to come into the United States as their country was rebuilding. And what it sort of metastasized into was a de facto amnesty. So you had a program that was temporary, that was re-upped and reauthorized over and over again, to the point where right now there's about 350,000 Haitians who are covered under this program. 69% of them came into the United States during the Biden administration. And by the way, 91% of them came into the United States illegally. So in other words, what we're doing by extending temporary protective status now is basically codifying Joe Biden's open borders, giving backdoor amnesty to people who never should have come into our country in the first place, had no valid reason to come into the country. I mean, these are not asylum claims or anything like that. These are people who simply crossed our borders illegally, and yet that the House voted last week to extend it. I think it's a terrible decision. My hope is that this is something that the Senate doesn't even take up for a vote. And if they do, it's something that the Senate votes down. I never like to rely on the Senate to kill bad legislation, but that's kind of the position that we're in. But this is, I think, an egregious betrayal of what we ran on last cycle.
Yeah, Congressman Gill, I always think about what people do, and it's not always what they do, it's why. What's the motive behind the stupidity? I just don't understand. You would think a logical individual or a logical group of people who are in Congress would think this through and say, does this benefit the American people? These people, some of them are illegally coming into this country. They're using resources from taxpayer. Everybody's complaining about things being too expensive. Like, what is their motive behind having all of this unfettered immigration and not, making these people go back where they came from?
Well, I mean, first of all, you're exactly right. The only question we should be asking here is, does large-scale illegal immigration from Haiti make America better off or worse off? And the answer is obviously worse off. I mean, we've got to remember that, especially as members of Congress, we represent American citizens. We don't represent anybody else. We don't represent illegal aliens in our district, and we don't represent foreigners in other countries. So the question is, does this increase the quality of life for the American people? Does it make America stronger in any sense? And the answer is no. So 65% of Haitian non-citizen headed households in the United States right now are on welfare. That makes us poor. It makes our country weaker. So the obvious response, and by the way, most of these people, whenever they come into the United States, don't speak English very well. So this makes our country weaker and poorer. And that ought to be the thing that we're focusing on. But what I hear from a lot of my colleagues who support things like this, whether it's Dignidad or Haitian TPS, is that we have labor needs in the United States. I've heard some of my colleagues say that if we don't have backdoor amnesty for Haitians, that our healthcare system is going to collapse. One of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle gave a bizarre statistic that 20% of healthcare workers in the United States are from Haiti. That is entirely made up, by the way, completely false. It's about 0.6% for the record. But that's the kind of stuff that you hear, and this comes from, ultimately, I think, especially when it's not from the left, a cheap labor lobby in Washington, who say that, go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering, like, are people trying to get obviously cheap labor, but also a new generation of people they can brainwash that they feel as if they give them a bunch of handouts, then somehow they'll be on their team and they're going to have a new variety of voters. Is that something that you see, or is that just speculation from the populace who don't know what we don't know what we're talking about when it comes to this? Because you're there, man. Like, that's one thing that I always wonder. Like, you are in Congress. Do you see that when you hear your colleagues talk about it? You like, I can see clear as the noonday sun, you guys trying to get in new voters to manipulate.
Oh, the short answer is yes. That is 100% why the Democrats support open borders and amnesty of any form. And they're pretty candid about that in many ways. I mean, you hear Democrats talking about demographics are destiny, that the changing demographic makeup in the United States is going to benefit them. In fact, that's been a core pillar of their political strategy for the past couple decades, is to import a new population of people. And by the way, that is obviously why they've been so adamantly opposed to the Save America Act. Whenever you have a large population of illegal aliens in the United States, that benefits Democrats in two ways. On the one hand, whenever you have unsecure elections, those illegal aliens are voting in our elections, especially in blue jurisdictions that are sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, don't have voter ID laws. Illegal aliens are voting there, and they're voting for Democrats typically. And that's the bet Democrats are making. But on the other hand, their presence in the United States, where they congregate in blue areas, gets counted in the census. Our census every 10 years counts the number of people, not the number of citizens in the state. And our congressional apportionment, meaning the number of congressmen that each state gets, is based on that number, the number of people in a state. So blue states that are sanctuary states get more representation in Washington, meaning you get more Democrat congressmen because of illegal immigration, just because of their presence in the United States. And various studies that have looked at this and have shown that Democrats probably net maybe 5 extra seats because of illegal immigration, and it could be quite a bit more. But they're open about that. I mean, I think that there's not really a question that they're weaponizing immigration for political benefit.
Congressman Gill, do you think that our side, the Republican side, is doing enough, or are we flooded with some people who are not, don't have the fortitude to stand up for what's right and to be as bold and courageous as you and others that I've seen, that every time, we have a congressional hearing, you take people to task that need it. I mean, do you feel like that we are lockstep and in a good position as Republicans, or do you think that we are struggling too, which gives a lot of enthusiasm to the left?
Well, I think that there's always more that we can be doing, and this is a good issue. You know, whenever you talk about immigration, you're always going to have people coming at you, calling you racist or slandering you in some way. And I think we need to be bold and straightforward and say there's obviously nothing, none of our immigration policies are obviously rooted in racial animosity in any way. It's about just protecting our people and recognizing that we ought to put our people's interests first because they're the ones that we represent. And I want to see my children and my grandchildren inherit the same country that my grandparents got to enjoy in America with the same opportunities and the same social and political stability. And that is undermined by mass migration. But to your original point, you know, we've always got more. The left is clever, and they're very cunning and they're ruthless politically. And we see that every day here. And we've got to be able to answer them with the same level, I think, of savviness.
Yeah, and do you think that Ilhan Omar will be held accountable? And I'm not saying that she's done anything criminal. I don't know for a fact, but it does appear to be some impropriety, right? With her potentially marrying somebody in her family, getting them over here in America, and then also with her net worth. Like literally she went from like $40 to having a $30 million net worth to now saying that it's back down to like several thousand, as if somebody is that stupid to make a mistake on your taxes. I know you pay taxes. I pay taxes. Everybody watching this pays some form of taxes. I pay a lot of money in taxes, but there's no way in the world that I'm going to accidentally think I'm worth $30 million and I'm worth 40,000. That's not going to happen. So do you think she's going to be held accountable, or are we missing something? Like, is there really nothing here? Is the reason why she hasn't been held accountable, or is there something there and we need to do something about it?
Yeah, you know, I think there's usually whenever with stuff like this, whenever there's smoke, there's fire. And this is somebody who, there are a lot of legitimate questions that we need to be diving into about her immigration status coming into the United States and how honest and straightforward she was about that. But, you know, the net worth question, I think is fascinating because, to your point, you had somebody who originally publicly disclosed that she had a net worth and possibly in the tens of millions of dollars, and then suddenly revises that due to an accounting error down to as low as about $100,000. I mean, there's no accounting error that can account for a discrepancy that large, of course. And again, this is all public. So this is something presumably that she looked into, you know, oversaw. This is the kind of thing that we need to be, that I think that the ethics committee, who is tasked with overseeing things like this, ought to take a really deep dive into. Because this, you know, if there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. But I think there are a lot of big questions here about her net worth. And again, remember, whenever we sign these financial disclosures that have our net worth in it, I actually have to sign that saying that I've looked over all of this information, that I'm verifying that this is accurate, and she did do that. So I think we ought to look into whether she intentionally misled the American people.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like I'm not a big finance guy, but I'm not stupid either. And that, you know, an account area that crazy, like somebody got to get fired over that. Because you got to think, if your net worth is that, or if you have a extreme amount of income, you're going to be paying extreme amount of taxes. So if my CPA or somebody made a mistake that large where I now owe a burden of some crazy amount of taxes, or now people are perceiving that I have some incredible net worth and it's not even a fraction of it, you know, some people need to go to jail over that. I want to ask you a couple of personal questions because we only have 5 minutes left. And to end it on a more positive note, you know, what is something that you do enjoy? Because about Congress, because people ask me all the time, are you going to run for office? And I just don't want that job. You know, I don't want that burden. I've been to Congress, and I can see how hard you guys work. And American people have no idea. Sometimes you guys are out there arguing up to 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's asinine at some of
Just
the.
last week we were doing that.
Exactly. And so I think the American people don't really know a lot about that. So, what's one thing that you really enjoy, being a part of Congress and something that you could be very proud of with your family and that you can pass on to your kids and say, hey, this is the reason why I did this and this is what I enjoy as far as doing my part in Congress?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, first of all, I genuinely love this country and want my kids and my grandkids to be able to enjoy the same America that I did, with this beautiful culture and unique heritage that is rooted in historical experience that creates so much economic opportunity and cultural stability. I'd like for our future generations to be able to inherit that. And I think that's a core part of being a conservative. The other side of that is that we have an obligation whenever we are given whenever we're blessed with so many opportunities to make sure that we can that those are preserved. So what I like about politics is we actually have the ability to impact that. And I enjoy the political process and I love the fight. And you look across the other side of the aisle and the things that they stand for will absolutely destroy this country to the point where our children and our grandchildren will not be able to inherit the same country. And frankly, in many ways, the country that I grew up in is fundamentally different than the one that my grandparents did. I mean, it's been changed because of the left in so many ways. So, to do this, you got to love the fight. Nothing gets done in Washington unless you're willing to fight for it, even the most simple things. So whenever we go into committee hearings and we're, going back and forth with some, rabid Democrat, that stuff makes a lot of difference. It takes a lot of preparation, but we have been able to move the needle, and I found that to be quite a rewarding experience. But it really does come down to a deep love of this country, and I think a conviction that it does need to be preserved. We are conservatives, and we seek to conserve the America of the founding, and we've got the opportunity to do that.
Well, man, I appreciate the hard work. I'm telling you, man, I appreciate you. Everybody else that I know appreciate you. Literally, my head of security guy here was like, I cannot wait to watch this interview. I love that guy. He's just always doing, you stand up for what's right. You call people out on the carpet on their bull crap, and you do it in a very articulable way, very reasonable way. You're not too condescending to people. You just hold them accountable for what it is. Last question. I think we've got about 30 seconds. I always ask people this because we only know you as a congressman. At least a lot of people only know you. We've been introduced to you as a congressman. If you were not a congressman and you had a choice of another career field at this point, what would that be?
I would be in business in some capacity. I'd be some kind of entrepreneur in Texas, and I did some of that before running for office. I was more in the media entrepreneurial space, but I'd be in business and be spending a lot more time with my family.
Yeah. Well, one day you'll have that opportunity when you retire from that place after doing your due diligence and service. But God bless you, Congressman Gill, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and look forward to having you back another time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I told you. And if you haven't seen Congressman Gill, you got to go look at him on social media. I mean, he's an absolute rock star. Every time I see him, it's funny because you would think that these people who are being presented before Congress is educated enough to have basic explanations for the things that they believe, and they just have nothing there. It's nothing there. And Congressman Gill exposes them every single time. So shout out to him from the 26th district, congressional district in the great state of Texas, which is where I was born and raised. But anyway, I appreciate that. I know you guys love that interview. Make sure you share it, like the video, like and subscribe to the channel, and go and follow Congressman Gill on his social media. All right, y'all, we out of here.